Welcome, everyone, to this last and very special meeting of the year of the Town of Poughkeepsie Town Board on December 17th, 2025, and we will begin with a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll do roll call.
Okay, good evening, Bill Reuter, First Ward.
Hello, Barbara Laird, representing Second Ward. Ann Berger, Third Ward.
Michael Sapone, Fourth Ward.
Good evening, Ryan Sharp, Fifth Ward.
Ann Schurshin, Sixth Ward.
Felicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Emily Svensson, Attorney to the Town.
Rebecca Edwards, Town Supervisor. So I want to thank you to everyone who helped out with the holiday caravan, especially the Highway Department and Mike Simon, and also the Arlington Holiday Fair. It was a cold but festive time. I want to thank everyone who helped out with a blood drive that Assemblymember Dee Dee Barrett sponsored here yesterday in Town Hall, and to everyone who gave blood, which is much needed. And you can probably tell from the back of the room that there might be some festivities tonight to thank and celebrate outgoing board members. And Karen in particular, thank you, and everyone who participated in that as well. So the way the things go tonight, we have a public hearing first. And then after that, we'll open the floor for 3 minutes for comment, and that would include on anything, including the special consent items at the end of the agenda. We tried to keep the agenda short tonight for the celebration and didn't really succeed, but it's not too bad, hopefully. We'll find out. And then at the end, we'll do our 3 minutes for any comments on anything people might want to bring to the board, as well as maybe a few proclamations at the end. So we will begin with the public hearing. Mr. Reuter?
Okay, make a motion to open the floor for public hearing to hear local law establishing regulations for commercial filming.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, the motion carries 7-0. So we have, this continues our conversation. I actually think we're continuing the public hearing from the prior meeting for anyone who would like to speak on the proposed regulations for commercial filming in the town. Is there anyone in the room who wanted to speak to those? Yes, welcome.
My name is Greg Freeman, and I'm in Ward 1 at 1 Water Street. And I come because I'm been quite saturated with filming for the last 6 months, and I thought maybe I could apply that information and help you out a little bit. First of all, I want to apply that experience. I want to both observing the last approval, which was at June or July, that allowed the filming of Best Medicine in New Hamburg. And I also, experienced the filming for the last 5 months. And I want to just reflect on specifically how the board decides around a specific applicant, generally speaking. And I have one suggestion at the end with respect to the proposed law. First, I want to say that filming is tremendously impactful to neighborhoods. It's way more than it's advertised by the film company or envisioned by the neighbors unless they've been through it. The board, I think, would not allow, say, a restaurant that taking constant deliveries and throngs of people in the streets and causing neighbors to deal with all sorts of troubles, and I could list out those troubles later if you're interested. This clearly, for the board decision, is really about impact versus the money, I think. I think that's the way I see it. And, there's a lot of money flowing through this project to people like me. I'm getting paid for the inconvenience. And I think the board needs time and a situation to work through it and understand it. And it's a complicated situation. So the suggestions I have for a board member that would want to have this in front of them would be, for instance, get a sense of the impact. And inside the document is section 6B, paragraph 2 is a really good list of things that impacts that impact the neighborhood. I think for New Hamburg, every one of those except one would be checked. And then you have to multiply that by, say, 2 or 3, because there's before the filming and after the filming day that happens, and the building plus the takedown time as well. The board member needs to listen to everyone, but most critically, those neighbors that aren't being paid. And there's quite a few that are, unhappy, for instance, that aren't getting the money, not because they're not getting money, but because they're really at the periphery of this thing. Determine the neighborhood, if the neighborhood needs the cash that comes, what's in it for them. Gather neighborhood information in an orderly way, make sure you catch everybody outside of the form. And I think you need something not in here, the 3-minute format, but something more. And I think most importantly, getting to my point, start this early.
Speaking of the 3-minute format, we just reached 3 minutes.
Okay,
but if
3
you wanna
minutes,
just
okay, I'm almost done. So
finish up your last point.
Start this early, and my concern is the 4-week lead time in section 7 isn't enough time. And my suggestion is, and noting that in 5A paragraph 3, there's a requirement that, that the authorization of the property owner is needed for the application. That puts the town last in the process, in a serial process of the approval. Everybody else is decided before you get it. So my suggestion is in section 7 to add something like a notice of an intent much earlier than that 4 weeks, so that you can work on this thing, because it's really complicated. You need to know those trade-offs. So
Thank you very
that's
much.
it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the room who'd like to speak on the filming legislation, the proposed filming application and regulations? Is there anybody else online? I think, sorry, we're having some difficulty with people on Zoom being able to see, and we're working on it, but haven't found a solution, but hopefully everyone can hear. Is there anyone online who wanted to speak in the public hearing concerning commercial filming regulations? Okay, seeing none, then
There's no picture right now.
Well,
So
there are
peop-
people on, so how did they get in? I don't know.
people aren't able to join the meeting? Okay, Tim is here and maybe he can help troubleshoot. I think they're working on it right now. So, okay. But I would say we would close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, this is the hearing is closed then by a motion of 7-0. And we have before us the resolution, Mr. Reuter.
Okay. Be resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie pursuant to duly noticed public hearing this evening at 7 PM Town Hall, Town of Poughkeepsie, hereby adopt Town Code Amendments, Local Chapter 108, entitled A Local Law Establishing Regulations for Commercial Filming, and that the proposed law is attached hereto incorporated herein. Town Board waives the right to a verbatim reading of said local law. Be it further resolved that the legal notice of public hearing was posted December 4th, 2025, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal December 9th, 2025. Be it further resolved, Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie determined that this is a type 2 action requiring no environmental review, and that said local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. So moved.
Second.
Okay, all right, this is on the floor then for further discussion.
Okay. So now, Mr. Freeman was impactful in some of his statements there, because in section 7, at the end of the section, talk about filing permits prior to filming. And the issue in New Hamburg was that they started before anybody knew that they were there. Okay, they were the first persons to know. The neighbors were the first people to know. And some were getting offers and some were not getting offers. So, that's how I personally found out about it, when neighbors called me and said, hey, they've been through half the neighborhood making contracts or executing contracts. So we may want to consider changing that language, maybe not now, but at some point, because we really don't want to experience that again. in New Hampshire. You know, the other thing with permits, as well, is that some of them I would consider variable and some of them would be for filming. So, in other words, if they're gonna use a home, that would be something that would be part of the set, okay?
Or like a private
Right,
property
Private
then,
property,
right.
whatever. Some people, and again, Mr. Freeman was bringing this up, that some people received the contract and some did not, which was for parking in front, using the driveway, which really has nothing to do with the filming. So, but it's necessary because that's the main point of the activity. So that created quite a stir in New Hamburg previous to this, so.
I would say that the lack of an application process and an online application probably contributed to that. I'm definitely not gonna sit here and promise that that doesn't mean that filmmakers won't go out and start talking to private property owners before the town. But if we have on the Dutchess Tourism website and on our website and at the clerk's office and everything, a clear application form posted, and we route everybody there first and say, this is where you need to start, well, I hope that it'll help us have a more coherent, decision-making process.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is, but I know the speaker was saying 1 week may not be enough, and that's probably true.
I think it's
So-
for things that we think are gonna have a substantial
Yeah.
impact on, and are gonna impact public, and then a week for those that are, that are more private. I'm happy to reconsider those, right?
we can reconsider.
We can amend those now or later if we want to. I think there is a tension here between, and I think if we want no one to film in the town, we could simply ask for 1 week's notice. This industry, clearly, we get calls at town hall, I know Felicia can attest to this too, right? And the call comes in, and then it's like, wait, we want to start filming Wednesday? No, wait, sorry, we're going to Minnesota, bye. The whole industry is very, moves fast like that. And so we're trying to accommodate, that this is, in some ways good for the town without being too accommodating, right? So I don't know quite where the line is.
Yeah, I don't know if we can consider later. I think we should table it to consider later, but maybe the language is prior to filming, prior to any activity.
Yeah. And also,
Maybe
it's
something to consider.
it's also gonna come down to fees too. How busy we wanna be with filmmaking depends
Right.
where we set our fees. Because we could set them up higher, that they're higher than our neighboring communities, and will attract fewer of these films. So it really comes down to the fees too. And also, for all the people that complained, I've also had neighbors that absolutely loved it. They had a great experience when they were filming in the neighborhood. It was an awesome time. They were very happy. So, it kind of comes down to, and you can't predict this, the film company. Because a couple of them were really, really good, very accommodating, and really took care of their neighborhoods and where they were filming. A couple others were not as good and not as good about paying, and they were
New
more
Hamburg is
difficult.
such a small area to begin
I
with.
was just gonna
Yeah.
say.
It's a
So
tough
any
area.
more congestion with the train
Yes.
station and everything else, it's just a lot.
It was a very big production in a very small, tight neighborhood. This past 6 months, 5 months was a hard one.
Yeah, but there's previews now for the show on TV, and some of the scenes are absolutely striking, and I can pick out that that's New Hamburg, and it's absolutely gorgeous.
We'll see how it goes.
It's gonna be a good show.
Yes. And they have said that they may come back in March to talk about more, so we need to, and we did not authorize that. We have a full discussion about whether we want to continue to do that or not, and on what basis. So I'm in favor of adopting it because requests are still coming in a kind of free-floating way, and I think an application process and some rules would be helpful. I'm very happy to accept amendments or to tinker with it also later as we figure out how this works, but we seem urgently, as we discovered last July, we are urgently in need of having an application process to help the clerk's office and to help us all deal with these requests, so.
I propose we put it in place and just come back 3 months later and take a revisit. That's okay with everyone.
And there is a financial benefit to New Hamburg because of the amount of money they get to improve New Hamburg. So there's a lot of things that can be improved down there. So this type of filming actually benefits them. So it
Many
is-
times you don't know till it starts what needs to be tweaked,
Right.
There's a couple
We'll see
other.
how it goes.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, were we gonna consider Mr. Schwartz's, email?
Yes,
I know
absolutely.
he was sending that in. If you want to introduce it, that's fine.
Sure, he had 3 points, another neighborhood was impacted. One is he wanted to point out that the number of days of filming per week does not take into account the full impact to the neighborhood. There's a day beforehand for setup and a day after for breakdown. I don't know if we want to try to factor that in formally, but in our informal setting of fees, we need to think about the fact that people are gonna have more impact than on that one day, and including things like he had power wires that were left Friday, and they were, they were laid out neatly, but they were in his way all weekend before filming on Monday. So, and then the last is he wanted to know whether the filmmakers are excused from parking laws, and the answer is no, unless the town board has approved it, like we did for the treehouse scene a couple weeks back. So we just need to make sure that any residents know that if there are parking violations, and we haven't approved any change in the parking, that they can call and we can make sure to enforce, which I think they tried to do in New Hamburg, but it's a lot, again, it's a lot of impact on a small area. So, I don't know if anybody would like to make amendments based on that, but as we think about fees in particular, we want to think about the fact that the impact is larger than just the filming days.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that would be in the fee structure, and we could say that, a day of setup is so much money and a day of filming is so much money. Because it is impactful. If you've been there, he's correct. It takes like 3 days to get out of there. And, so that's something that I think we can address if you want to add it to the specs in number 8, or you want to add it to the fee section later, that would be fine. The debris, or the wires, or whatever he wrote here, that is, troubling because there's some big cables there. So people could trip, and so there may be something we can add later on in the specs of all debris cleaned up after the weekend, or
Why don't you just,
in between.
why don't you just add it to additional permit specifications, number 8B, and just put down that, setup and breakdown is included in the notification, and that way you get the permit. You just charge one fee for the permit, and you just label it for the setup and breakdown as well.
Oh, I'm in 3.8, not 8.
Additional permit specifications, you got B, permit required to provide at least 40 hours notice to start filming, so just put 40 hours notice before setup and breakdown included in that section. That'd be the easiest to do.
That would certainly allow for, that would certainly assist with, do you want to propose that as an amendment? That would assist with at least notification beforehand. We're also talking about the fees, but this would apply for that piece.
I'll make an amendment to add that.
Okay, so you're proposing an amendment to add language in section 3.8, right?
Yes.
Of 3.8.
8B.
8B.
3.8B, a permit may require an applicant to provide at least 48 hours notice before the start of setup for filming.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, is there a second to that motion, that amendment?
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Sorry, I should have asked for more discussion first, but, I don't think that this is such a major change to the law that we have to go renotice everything again, but it may help clarify and ease the impact on people, so. Okay, good.
Yeah, just so we know, the parking laws, we're gonna be, you were copied on that email, Supervisor, we're gonna be looking with, attorneys, chief, to, revisit what, the laws are and what the mapping is, so we'll take a
Okay.
look at that next year.
Okay, great. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the adoption of the law? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the law is adopted by a vote of 7-0. Thank you, everyone, and thanks to those who's been involved in a very lengthy conversation over this in the last 6 months. Okay, I believe then that at this point, we are suspending, I move to suspend the rules for people to speak for up to 3 minutes on items that are on our agenda tonight, including any items of special consent. So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Okay, then the floor is open for members of the public to speak for up to 3 minutes on any item that's on our agenda this evening. Is there anyone in the room who would like to speak? And then we'll move to folks who are online. Yes, Steve, welcome.
Hi, Steve Osterly's Third Ward. Keep trying not to be first, but on the special consent items about relocating the town hall to the Poughkeepsie Day School property, I'm concerned and find it frankly hypocritical that several of the members here, back in '23, ran on that it was the worst thing in the world to go to Boardman Road, and again, this is from the old website of We Are the Town of Poughkeepsie, which several of these members were part of, which got taken down last night, or this morning. I fortunately got this just before it got taken down, saying it will raise residential property taxes by 10%, including rents. We do not need a new town hall. Nothing is wrong with the current town hall on Overrocker Road. The proposed site contradicts the town's own smart growth master plan. Plan will sharply increase traffic on Spackenkill and Boardman Roads, a residential area where traffic safety is already a huge issue. The cost implications for this proposal were developed behind closed doors. To me, a lot of these, I can't speak to the cost because nothing has been, the initial purchase price has been disclosed, but, and saying that no new construction, but what are renovation costs? There's no information, including renovation costs for the town hall here to become the police courts. I'm concerned about that also, because, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, nothing was wrong with the town hall. Now suddenly it needs $6.6 million worth of upgrades, which, just happens to be 6.8 to buy a new property. It just does not seem, transparency in that does not seem that out there with this project. So really, I think the board owes it to the citizens of Poughkeepsie to be out front, forward, and not move ahead and do the same things that many of these members were criticizing the previous board on that helped get them elected. So those are, concerns.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the room who wanted to speak? Okay, then moving to online, Doreen, welcome.
Thank you. We couldn't hear initially, like when the roll call was given. Are there any members missing tonight?
No, we're all here.
Okay, thank you. All right, and, yeah, I have some concerns about the special consent, items and, what supervisor's, newsletter said some people may be thinking that it's, Groundhog Day again regarding the, Boardman Road move. And I do still have some traffic concerns about that. And the fact that, as Steve Osperlees just said, there aren't any real cost numbers out there. And I think we need more information on it. But specific to special consent item number 2, one of my concerns is that there are 4 services you're talking about contracting for and to execute agreements. And 2 of them, number 3 and number 4, don't have any financial information there at all, like how much it's going to cost, no estimates. So in number 1 for the legal, for Zarin, it says they anticipate 20 hours of our time, and it's at like $550 an hour, but I'd like to see a maximum amount put in there. And CPL also doesn't have a maximum amount. They say 18.5 for building condition analysis, 10,000 for environmental testing. But again, I'd like to see some concrete numbers for number 3 and number 4. Number 3 is there's like no contract, no fee schedule, no maximum, and that's to hire bond counsel. And then number 4 is for something called Munistat to provide financial advisory services. And again, there's nothing about it. So I don't know, does the board have that information before you vote on it? Can you explain that? Thank you.
I'll just briefly say that, we have bond counsel and bond advisor to the town, on an ongoing basis, and that's 3 and 4. So I think that those fall under ongoing contracts we have with them. But there's a lot more questions, I'm not gonna try to answer everything, but that identifies that number 3 and 4, so. And I'm sorry that people aren't able to see, that we haven't been able to figure out how to fix that. We've got sound, but not a visual. Anybody else who's online on Zoom who wanted to speak to any item on tonight's agenda? Okay, seeing none, then I move to close the public comment period and move back into regular session.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. All right, and then our first item, I believe, Ms. Laird is the appointment of the acting receiver of taxes.
Yes, the receiver of taxes for the town retired effective December 15th, and the vacancy is going to exist in the office of receiver of taxes prior to the expiration of the pending term of the prior receiver of taxes. So the town board finds it necessary to ensure the uninterrupted administration, collection, and accounting of town taxes and assessments, and to protect the public interest. So we are authorized to appoint an acting receiver of taxes to serve for the balance of the pending term, or until a successor is otherwise duly qualified, in order to maintain continuity of operations. So the town board hereby appoints Nicole Giamatti as acting receiver of taxes effective December 18th, 2025, to serve for the remainder of the pending term of the prior receiver of taxes, whose term expires on December 31st. Be it further resolved, the acting receiver of taxes shall have and exercise all powers and duties conferred by applicable law upon the receiver of taxes during the period of appointment, and that compensation for the acting receiver of taxes shall be at the rate of pay for that elected position for up to 40 hours a week, subject to applicable payroll practices and any required approvals. And the acting receiver of taxes shall take and file any required oath of office and undertake any required bonding prior to commencing duties. So moved. Oh, this will take effect immediately. So moved.
Second. Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries 7-0.
Resolution number 3, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Rashid Anderson to the position of Recreation Program Assistant for the Recreation Department at the rate of $19.23 per hour, effective January 2nd, 2026. So moved.
Second.
Second. Okay, this was in our budget, and now we're making it formal. He's been part-time and is now able to be a full-time recreation program assistant. He's been terrific, so.
He's in the office now.
He has been in the office,
As a
and this just
part-time.
expands him from, I believe, from seasonal to full year, so,
Good employee.
yeah. Okay,
Okay.
all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution carries 7-0.
Be resolved, the town board, town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Maria Kershid to the position of seasonal temporary clerk for the receiver of taxes, office at the rate of $16.50 per hour, effective December 18th, which appointment shall be subject to probationary period as described by the rules of the classified civil service of Dutchess County, in effect as of this date of this resolution. Be it further resolved, the town supervisor or her designee are authorized to execute and file all documentation required by the Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So moved.
Second.
Okay, this was a position that was vacated earlier in the year by a resignation, and so this is, again, seasonal temporary when needed. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution carries 7-0.
Resolution 5, whereas Scenic Hudson Land Trust owns a 25.69 acre parcel of vacant land, and the Putnam Highlands Audubon Society owns 2 parcels of vacant land totaling 100.6 acres. And altogether, the property on Chandlerville Road in the town of Poughkeepsie, the Scenic Hudson desires to donate the Scenic Hudson parcel under the terms and conditions in the letter of understanding, including that the town will dedicate the Scenic Hudson parcel as parkland for passive recreation and will limit future development or improvement Putnam Audubon desires to donate the Putnam Audubon parcels to the town, which the town intends to dedicate as parkland for passive recreation and on which the town intends to limit future development or improvement. The town intends to manage the property as park preserve as defined in New York Parks Recreation Historic Preservation Law, Section 2001, and utilize the property to complete the Wappinger Greenway Trail Loop and expand its New Hamburg Park. The town requires a title report to determine if the title to the property is sufficiently clear to warrant the town's acquisition of title. RG Title LSC has furnished the town with a quote of $1,500 for 3 title searches attached as Exhibit A to prepare the title report. The title report is a professional service, and in any event, the RG quote is less than $10,000. Now, the supervisor is authorized to retain RG Title LLC to conduct the title search for 3 parcels pursuant to the estimate attached hereto as Exhibit A with resources from the Recreation Fund. So moved.
Second.
Okay, this is our next step toward the addition of this Audubon and Scenic Hudson land to the New Hamburg Park, and we need to do a title search, so. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution carries 7-0.
Be it resolved that the supervisor or her designee is authorized to sign an Animal Control Officer Shared Service Municipal Cooperation Agreement and subsequently the form annexed on terms acceptable to the supervisor after consultation with the attorney to the town between the town of Poughkeepsie, the town of LaGrange, the town of Hyde Park, the town of Beekman, the town of Clinton, and the town of Pleasant Valley to provide animal control services for the term of January 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2026. Be further resolved, this is type 2 action requiring no secret review. So moved.
Second.
Okay. This has been in place for a couple of years now and seems to be working well as a shared service among the different towns. So we're working to continue it on the
It'll
same.
continue to be Adrian, right?
It will. It'll continue. There are substantially no changes. We're moving forward in the same way we have been.
There's just one too many zeros on the second page of the contract. If the comma is correct, but it's only
Where are we?
60,000, not 600.
Oh,
I had the old animal control officer say if she knew it was that much, she would have stayed.
oh, it says 60,000 with an extra zero at the
Yeah.
end of that number. Yep, so we should strike a number
Yeah, I
there.
did. It's all.
Yes, all right. Thank you. Yep, Adrian might be super enthusiastic to stay if it were $600,000 a year, but yeah. Thank you for catching that. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution carries 7-0. Resolution 7, be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute an amendment and extension agreement with the County of Dutchess and other municipalities regarding the town police department's participation in the Dutchess County Crisis Intervention Team training and behavioral evaluation and assessment team beat patrols, all as part of an ongoing effort to better assist those with mental health and substance abuse issues in substantially the form annexed. And be it resolved that this is part of the ongoing administration of the town's affairs requiring no SEQA review. So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries 7-0.
May it be resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to execute a dog control housing agreement between the Town of Poughkeepsie and Mutt's Mansion Incorporated in substantially the form as last year, copy annexed, and the execution of this agreement is part of the ongoing administration of the town and requires no environmental review. So moved.
Second. Okay, our reorg isn't until January 7th, so this is some reorg types of work, but it means if we have stray dogs on New Year's Day, New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, we're under contract, so. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution carries 7-0.
Resolution number 9, be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor to execute the annexed memorandum of agreement between the Town of Poughkeepsie and Teamster Local 456, effective January 1st, 2026, in substantially the form annexed. And it's relating to longevity. Be it further resolved, the Town Board does hereby authorize the supervisor or her designee to take additional steps as necessary to effectuate the MOA. So moved.
Second.
So this adds, as we have done for non-union employees, we're adding a $500 addition to the longevity payment at 25 years. And we've checked, and this applies to, I think, 2 people in highway. We probably will want to extend it to CSEA as well. It's not a large number of people who continue working to the town for 25 years. But it's a little just extra thank you to those who've served a very long time. So this extends that to Teamsters 456, which is highway.
So they're paid on their anniversary date, is that what it is?
They're paid on their anniversary date.
Okay.
And it's not, this isn't, the only thing that's new is making it the extra 500 at 25 years. So.
Okay.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution carries 7-0. Okay, number 10, and we had docs to follow on that, because there was a lot of work to get this electrical contract sorted out.
Whereas the Spack and Kill Sanitary Sewer Pump Station Replacement Contractor bid was opened on November 20th. 5 bids were received, and the lowest bidder, Southstowe Contracting, has requested that their bid be withdrawn due to a clerical error. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board does hereby authorize Southstowe Contracting to withdraw their bids pursuant to municipal law. The town board does hereby award the contract for Spack and Kill Sanitary Pump Station to the next lowest bidder, Foremost Electrical Corporation, at the bid price of $858,900 pursuant to the recommendation of the engineering department. Supervisor is authorized to execute the contract with Foremost Electrical Corporation on receipt of all required documentation, including bonds and proof of insurance coverage. So moved.
Second.
Okay, this, there was a lot of work involved in this, and I want to thank Mary and Emily and Andy Learn and a lot of different people who worked on this to get this done. This is the last bid to get us going to replace our oldest sewer pump in town, which I think dates from 1959. So, any further comment? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries 7-0.
Number 11, this is very disturbing. This is 6 Conifer Court, short-term rental. We approved the zoning application for them to have 4 bedrooms. Upon inspection, they had 5 bedrooms, not the original 4. So by a letter dated December 11th to the owner of the property, John T. Luber Enterprises, from zoning administrator Christina Granieri, advising the short-term rental permit was revoked due to the inspection revealing 5 bedrooms. And whereas a response was received from Teresa Schoonmaker, a local contact for short-term rental, the same day, December 11, 2025, requesting an appeal hearing for said revocation, which appeal is authorized pursuant to short-term rentals 168A-12 entitled Appeals. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board hereby sets a public hearing on the short-term rental permit revocation for the unhosted short-term rental, January 7, 2026 at 7 p.m. or soon thereafter, as the matter may be heard in Town Hall, 1 Ark Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. Be it resolved, the town clerk is authorized and directed to post notice of the hearing and ensure the hearing notice requirements in section 210-151D are complete. So moved.
Second. And I know that Emily and I spoke with Chrissy Granieri today in the zoning administration, and we'll have a full report on January 7th that we'll be able to use to discuss that at the hearing. So, any discussion? So this sets the public hearing for January 7th. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution carries 7-0. I just thought that would be of interest to you, because it's your ward, I believe. Yep. Okay. All right, resolution number 12.
All right, this has to do with appointment of a steering committee. The town of Poughkeepsie was awarded a grant from the New York State Department of State to fund the preparation of a brownfield opportunity area planned for approximately 145 acres, characterized by several known or potential brownfield sites that are generally located along the Casper-Gill Creek in the vicinity of Burnett Boulevard and Tucker Drive. The town and state executed a contract for this grant on July 24th. The town board now wishes to appoint a volunteer steering committee comprised of residents and others familiar with this area who will work with the town staff to engage the community in the development of the plan, help select a consulting firm subject to town board approval, and guide the work of the selected consultant over the next 18 to 24 months. The town board hereby appoints Emily Dozier, Joe Quitoni, Dawn, Chris Sturbens, Shanta, thank you, Nawan Joseph, Paul Jean, Trevor Riddle, Rachel Reisman, Dan Salvatore, Carl Whitehead, and Christine Mencken to serve on the steering committee for the Burnett Tucker Brownfield Opportunity Area. So moved.
Second.
All right, this group met informally to see if, with Mike Welty, to see if everyone wanted to join, and they all signed up afterwards. I think it's gonna be a really exciting, we already learned new things about what has gone on over at that brownfield or the former dump, so. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution carries 7-0.
Be resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept the attendance certificates of attendance for Carl Whitehead, Nicole Giamani, Peter Fanuelli, Rocco Romero, Stephen Lasher, Bob Simpson, Sharon McSween, and Sheehan Sidat for completion of training, planning training hours for 2025, and be further resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept certificates of attendance for Paul Leahy, Christine Sorino, and Linda Montero for completion of ZBA training hours for 2025. So moved.
Second.
Okay, this gets planning and zoning with the training hours they need. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution carries 7-0. Okay, resolution 14, be it resolved that the town board does hereby accept minutes for the following 2025 town board meetings to wit, October 8th, October 22nd, November 5th, November 19th, and December 3rd. So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution carries 7-0.
Town clerk.
Yep. I just have a liquor license notification regarding Shake Shack, which is gonna become located on 35 Winco Gate Road. That's all I have.
Okay,
It's exciting.
that's it. I think there's a lot more events going on in town than that, but that's the ones we know about, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Very good. Okay, I believe that takes us to special consent. So, the next,
Would you like me to read 16?
that would be great. Go right ahead.
Be resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby grant special consent to the following items to wit, authorize supervisor to sign Supervisor Edwards' letter of intent, acquisition of real property. 2, retain Supervisor Edwards' professional services for evaluation services, real property acquisition. Be it further resolved that upon objection of any member of the town board, any item may be removed from the list and voted on separately. So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution carries 7-0. So we move on to discuss those two resolutions.
Am I reading number 1?
That'd be great.
Sorry. Letter of intent to purchase a portion of Poughkeepsie Day School property. The resolution 1-5, number 40A of 2022, the town of Poughkeepsie entered a contract to purchase the Poughkeepsie Day School property for town hall, police, courts, and other facilities, but later chose not to pursue that purchase. And whereas Poughkeepsie Day School is in the process of subdividing its campus, and now proposes to sell a portion of the property to the town for use as a town hall and recreation facility. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board of town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize and direct the supervisor to execute a Gilkison Building and Sports Fields dissolution of prior agreement, letter of intent for PSA. The LOI in the same or substantially the same form as annexed here too. Be it further resolved, the letter of intent resolves the 2022 contract of sale with Poughkeepsie Day School and documents the town's intent to take the next steps toward a contract to purchase the Gilkison Building and Sports Fields under a new set of terms. Be it further resolved, the board finds that because the purpose of this non-binding letter of agreement is to allow the town to conduct environmental, engineering, economic, financing, legal, and other studies necessary to formulate a potential course of action, its execution is type 2 action, does not require environmental review. Be it further resolved that all required environmental and other processes will be followed if a definitive agreement is proposed to be executed by the town. So moved.
Second. Okay, open for discussion. I'll just say that there are two parts to this, that the town did have $250,000 still on deposit at Poughkeepsie Day School is part of the prior negotiations. And you'll see that, the agreement here is that $175,000 of that will be returned immediately to the town. The remaining $75,000 will serve several purposes. It will resolve any further claim that Poughkeepsie Day School might have on those funds that were on deposit with them. It will serve to, give the town until January 15th to do due diligence and determine, again, this is non-binding, to, take some time to figure out whether this is, appropriate, and to understand, the condition of the building, and, to figure out whether this is something on which we want to go forward. It gives that exclusivity, and it also, if we go forward, is part of the deposit on purchase of the property. So that's the first piece of this, is resolving that $250,000 that was there. And a couple of months back, the board formally requested those funds back. And this resolves that, and finishes it out. And then the second is the letter of intent, for potential purchase of a portion of the property. I feel like I'm gonna probably say this a lot in the next, month or so. But the prior plan was to locate the, police and courts at that site, to purchase the entire Poughkeepsie Day School site, and to build a new police courts, building there, in addition to the buildings that were already there. And the proposal at this point is to put town hall there and maximize use of the recreation space on that site, which includes a gymnasium and the 2 sports fields, and a theater, and some community space, a kitchen, and so forth. So that's the proposal going forward.
Just a friendly amendment, on page 3 of the, LOI. Under purchase price, A, you think we might want them at 150, add the word thousand there?
Oh, yes,
That'd be fun.
should say 150,000,
All right, now $150.
much to our, yeah, right, exactly. Thank you,
I'll take the 150.
yeah,
1,000,
that sounds very good.
okay.
Thank you for that,
Good,
catch. Good catch.
But, yeah, I mean, politics aside, this is a good location. I know primary importance is to move our town police. And I think that the points have been made by the public, that it's good that it's in front of the public, and that we want the most efficient approach. So we really need to understand, we have a study to move the police here, and then something that came up to move the town hall to this new site. So whatever any other options there are, I think we'd like to know what the costs are associated with each, and what are the options, and then present them to the public. And, this, as I say, politics aside, this, has its merits, this location. And they're suggesting we proceed, we should proceed, as identified here.
Anyone else?
We're very limited in where we could go. There's not a lot of properties that could meet our needs, so I was in favor of the last town board moving forward on this property. We were not going to take the whole parcel and use it. We were not moving town hall like some people that ran, Steve pointed out, use that against us to get elected. And again, politics aside, it is a good venue. But we were not moving town hall there at the time. What we did was to study what we could do with the whole parcel. So that got lost because people rallied and believed the negativity that was put out. But moving forward, this is a good property, and it does benefit the town. And putting town hall, the police department here in town hall could actually work out. We did look at that a number of years ago because of the structure where we're gonna put the other building, and the having to go 4 floors up. It was very expensive at that time, so that's why we did not do it. But I would like to move forward and at least look and see what the cost would be, and let the public have an input and see where they're going, but it doesn't hurt to investigate it.
Okay, thank you very much. I think this was a surprise to me that we thought that the police department and police and courts, we were looking at a building down at IBM and in other parts of town, and It turns out that I think for a number of reasons, the best place to put police and courts is here. And so this has unfolded, but I think, the only thing I hear almost as often from town residents as we should have never, ever put the police and courts on top of an uncapped landfill, and that building has ongoing major maintenance issues because of that. The second thing I hear is we should have bought Casper Hill, right? We need our summer camp space. We need indoor space for our summer camp. And we're a large town and we could use additional recreation opportunities. And so it might be that this is a little bit of a complex project to move police and courts and also move town hall. Maybe it solves both of those long-term problems and gives us really fine facilities for the town going forward, including some new public services that could be provided with the gym and the additional sports fields, and with the theater and the community space, the community kitchen and things of that sort. So.
Yeah, and also this school building is actually larger than our current town hall. So it's not gonna require for us to have any additional building going on that site, which was one of the problems with moving the police there. Is that required, it wasn't large enough and it required additions to be put on, which increased the price. So this is gonna be very economical for us too, because we're not gonna be required to have any additional building on the side and just adapt the school that is there to our uses.
We have some work, we can recycle a little bit some of the work we did before. I agree with Doreen that we need to look at traffic. We do have a traffic study, we'll need to update that, and as things go forward, there's a lot of moving parts, but we'll begin that process. Anybody else?
Well, I just wanted to say that, early on, when we were looking at moving police and courts here, my trepidation was that it would require us to move twice. Maybe we would have to move town hall out really quickly to be able to retrofit this and build on for courts. So then I hated for people who work here to have to move everything and all their papers to a rental unit, and then cross our fingers that we find a better place, and then move a second time. Because if we want to really advantageously work to get the police out of that horrible place on Tucker Drive, we gotta move as fast as possible. So this allows I think a more streamlined version, if it works out, to just move once to the Poughkeepsie Day School site at Gilkison Building. And then maybe that will speed up the process to get this place retrofitted for police.
Okay.
I agree with that, Barb, and my objective here is to move the police as soon as possible to the best location. That's what we need to focus on.
Obviously, this launches a process, which if it's successful, is gonna be the board's first priority for at least the next year and probably longer, but it gets us moving and gets the different pieces of the puzzle together.
I have to revise my statement too, it's the police and courts.
Police and courts,
Right,
exactly,
sorry.
police and courts.
The courts are very important.
Okay,
I'll just make a comment about the transparency. I'm hoping that as this moves forward, that there is some transparency around how much this will cost, how much, people will see increase in their taxes. I love the idea of moving the police station over to Boardman Road. Originally, I was very much in favor of that idea. So it is a little disheartening to see that we're revisiting this again, because it is Groundhog's Day, as you mentioned. We're gonna move them over there to retrofit this for the police station. I don't see how we'll be saving any money ultimately. And at one point, we were gonna buy the entire Poughkeepsie Day School for $8 million. Now we're just buying one parcel for $6 million. So, it does seem like we're losing something in the end. So, I'm just hoping that along the way that there's transparency around how much all this is gonna cost, and there's not things going on behind closed doors. I watched Supervisor Edwards at the end of 2023 come to this podium week after week and talk about how much it's gonna cost and how there's no transparency. She ran her campaign on that, about, moving the police and courts over there would be a terrible idea, and yet here we are revisiting it. So it is very contradictory. I find a lot of, paradoxes in the whole thing. I won't be on the board anymore to kind of I'll be a citizen, a taxpayer, but I'm hoping that my taxes don't go up too much, and I hope that whatever kind of comes of this, that we are all being open and honest about it and sharing along the way and getting some public hearings and input, and it will be very interesting. So I want what's best for the town residents as well. Having a summer camp over there would be lovely, having indoor space. But, you know, it's a little hard for me to kind of sit here and think about what I watched and what I was, you know, a part of when we were gonna move over there, and we were green lighted it, and now to be pulled back, and now we're looking at it again, just seems, very contradictory, but, you know, I hope the police and courts get moved swiftly. That's always been our priority. Thanks. I completely agree that, we should be transparent, not only about the total overall cost, when we can understand how the parts fit together and what that is, but also the cost per $1,000 for property tax payers. And one of the things we've been working really hard on is, additional revenue streams to help offset the cost of borrowing. We've had a couple of years to try to develop that. We have some more options for 2027, we hope, so that by the time we bond and begin paying for this, we do have some additional revenue streams that will help make this less expensive to property tax holders. It's something that, there's not I think we all agree, not doing anything is not an option, right? There has to be some expense here. It's not cheap to move these kinds of buildings. It's an investment for the long run, but we need to be transparent about the costs, so. Anybody else?
Fully supportive. Let's do our due diligence, and I'm, you know, supportive of everything else that was said about getting our police and our courts into a building that's safer. So, very supportive of us doing our due diligence here.
Okay. All right. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Nay. Okay, the resolution passes 6-1. Thanks very much. Where were we with who's on SC2? I can't remember.
It's Amberger's turn.
Okay.
Whereas the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie authorized execution of a letter of intent for purchase of real property and thorough site evaluation is required before the town can execute a binding contract and propose a broader course of action, which evaluation requires gathering detailed factual information and performing several professional evaluations for planning, legal, and environmental services. And whereas as the site evaluation process begins, it has and in the future will likely become necessary to authorize the retention of additional providers to perform specialized review tasks, and therefore, be it resolved that the supervisor is authorized to execute agreements with Zarin and Steinmetz LLP to assist the town with legal representation, such as negotiations, drafting of contracts, in substantially the form annexed at Exhibit A, and CPL Architecture, engineering and planning for building condition analysis, document review, and environmental testing, in substantially the form annexed. Number 3, Oric Harrington and Sutcliffe LLP as bond counsel to assist in preparation of bonding documents and advice. Munistat provide financial advisory services, and be it resolved that the retention of these firms is a type 2 action requiring no secret review. Be it further resolved that it is in the best interest of the town, after review of the proposals submitted and consideration of the project timeline, that the retention of these firms not be subject to further procurement processes. So moved.
Second.
Okay, I heard the comment from Doreen earlier about a maximum in the number of hours for David Cooper, and I'm happy to work with that and assure the board that if it goes over 20 hours, we'll come back for further discussion. He's estimating 20 hours, and if it were more than that, I would like to let people know and approve that. And as I said before, Oric, Douglas Goodfriend, they are our bond counsel, and Munistat's our bond advisor on an ongoing basis, so I think those are under existing contracts with the town. So we can pay for what needs to be done through the $175,000, a small piece of the $175,000 that's coming back from the deposit that was put on, that was held at PDS, so. Okay, any further discussion?
You're talking about the attorneys?
The attorneys, and also CPL's thorough engineering study and due diligence on the building.
Okay, but then
Which is the other
It
piece.
shouldn't take that much because we've done it already.
We have, there was not a thorough study of the gym or the theater in Mitchell's study. And obviously that was in 21, and so there's been potentially some changes in terms of what patching and change, what they've done in terms of upgrade, but more likely deterioration, so we need to understand that, so.
CPL scope of work does have amounts in it. It's 18,000, and then 10,000 for environmental testing.
And then, items 3 and 4, those are, you're considering them minor items? There's no description?
They're under existing contracts because Oric, Harrington, and Sutcliffe is already bond advisor to the town.
Right.
And, I'm sorry, is bond counsel to the town, and Munistat is already bond advisor to the town. So we have ongoing annual contracts with them, so this will fall under that work.
We probably didn't even need to put them in this resolution.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well,
it's part
we'll
of
be
their
clear that we're-
normal-
yeah,
Normal
yeah.
course and speed, which they get paid on an
Right,
hourly
right.
basis or whatever. Okay. And then we'll just have updates on this when we have the public hearings as far as how much it is as total part of the cost.
Absolutely, and we're gonna have access to the school building during their break, which is December 20th through January 5th, so this works out well for CPL to be able to get in and do a thorough study without disrupting what they're doing. We are also, they have a number of leases, they have tenants using various parts of the space, like the gym at certain times. There's a solar field, a solar array, there's a cell phone tower. We need to understand all those leases thoroughly and get a clear picture of the whole property and the value and the potential risks, so. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, the vote is 6-1. I believe that takes us to the end of the meeting. What I would like to do is offer 3 minutes first for anybody who'd like to speak on any item to the board, speak to us about anything, and then I believe we're going to have some proclamations, and then I think we should adjourn, and there could be additional informal remarks and festivities, but I'm putting the adjournment in between the proclamations and the informal remarks and festivities, okay? It's fairly obvious in the back that we've got some thanks to proffer. A move to suspend the rules for anyone in the room or on Zoom who might wish to comment for up to 3 minutes on any item.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries, motion carries 7-0. Anyone who wants to speak about anything? Doreen?
Okay, thank you. I heard the Mitchell report mentioned before, and when I was looking at that this morning, I saw that the total cost for Gilkison at the time was 15.6 million. And again, I am not exactly certain what all of those renovations, if the same renovations would be required now, but that was back in 2022, 15.6 million. And it did say that there would be escalation in costs calculated at like 5% per year. So the Mitchell report may provide information based on, previous proposed changes. So again, you don't have to hopefully reinvent the wheel and spend more money than necessary.
I'd have to go look for that. I think that has to do with putting the courts in that, courts and police in that building. But we'll go, if we can email and try to find what that number looks like.
And then my only other thing is that as far as the brownfield study, I hope that the group will still consider a suggestion I had made years ago, and I know somebody else brought it up in the Comprehensive Plan Committee review about potentially daylighting the Casper Kill there, just like they daylighted the sawmill in Yonkers. And I think that would be a great environmental addition to that area of town. So I hope that makes it into the renovation. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Georgette? Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I would just like to thank Mike for his many years of service to the Ward 4. I know I've called him when he was at the parade in Wappingers or when he was with his children with family time. And he took the time to address the problems on the block that I was calling about. I think he went above and beyond when he represented his constituents. So thank you, Mike, for your dedication.
Thank you.
If there's no other comment, that's a great segue, but let me check real quick and see if there's anyone else. Steve?
And I'd like to say something too.
Welcome back.
I know, not trying to drag things out, but I just too wanted to thank Ann and Mike for their time on the board and doing, I think they always did what, they thought was right, and actually, the whole board may not agree with a lot of things all the time, but I do think the board in general tries to do what they think is best. But then, going back to the police and courts and the town hall, kind of two things. Is one, again, is the transparency, and when the public hearings, not to have the public hearing and vote right away, give time for, this is a big project, to make sure that, the board members are given time to digest, the comments and that, and not just rubber stamp things through. And, cost is of, concern, as taxpayers, but when looking at it, especially for the, you're looking at the other property and adding recreation and all these things, to make sure it's not taken away from the police and courts needs. They've been neglected, far too long, and to try to save a couple bucks on them that may end up in the long term being more expensive. Cheaper is not always, cost effective. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, I don't see any other hands. Anyone else?
I just wanted to say real quick too, that Mike's been here since I started in 2000, well, I think Pat Myers was here for like a year and then you came in, but you've been here the whole time I've been here, and that's a long time. And thank you, Ann, for all of your work. And I also wanted to just throw out there, because Kelly retired, but she was my deputy for 7.5 years. And then she became the receiver of taxes for 5 years. So I really appreciated her as my deputy too. And I didn't really get a chance to say that when her retirement thing came on. But I didn't really want her to leave, but I always wish that my people will, do better and so I just wanted to thank her also for her years of service.
Thank you. I think she's out of town, but we will also reach out to her
Yeah,
for
I
a
just
thank
wanted
you
to
for
say that
her
I really
service.
appreciated all the years that she worked for me and for the town.
Well, so the next most, yes. Well, if we can do, let me let the board, Ann, on behalf of the board, as the next longest serving person, is going to do a couple of comments for Ann and for Mike, and then we'll move to the audience and let anyone who might want to come forward and speak. Or is this not about retirements? Is this on another issue? It's on another issue. Come on forward then. We'll make sure everybody gets heard before we move on to the celebrations. Welcome. Hi.
I just had a quick question with, where you're doing the due diligence, looking forward to move the police and the courts. What are you gonna do with the building you have? Is that part of your due diligence to say, okay, what do we do with that one?
The police court, the current police courts facility?
Right, is
Yeah.
that gonna get sold and then
Yes.
that offsets the price of the other one, or are you gonna keep it for something? Just curiosity more than anything else is what
Well, in
are,
the past, we had a
you only
buy-
you only use half of it anyway.
In the past, we had a buyer for the property as
Okay.
is.
We most likely would sell it. It is on that same property, that same area where the landfill is. So that, over the next year or so, obviously the police aren't moving here tomorrow. We've got a little while. We'll be also undertaking a larger conversation, about that whole brownfield area and how we might revitalize over there, which might help with the sale of the property.
But the town's not planning on keeping it in the long run? Or
We
you have-
no.
Okay, that's
No.
my only question was,
Yeah.
what do you do with this now?
No, the assumption is that we will sell it.
Yeah, I don't think we can get a building permit for that.
Yeah, we won't have a use for that at that point, so, yeah. All right, good.
Sorry.
I missed
had to
that.
go there.
Yeah. But, yeah, we're looking for a buyer? No. Anybody else? Okay, then Ann, as the next longest serving board member, is gonna say a few words.
Yes. Okay, when I went through the Board of Elections, I was very, very impressed to see that Mike's joined the board in 2004 and has been on this board for 22 years. I only have 14 and I can't imagine 22. And as you've seen over the years, I don't always agree with Mike. But Mike has had some really good ideas, and also when we needed somebody to be strong and to be tough and to stand up, he was there for us. And I really appreciate this. So we have a little something that we have made up for you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
And then for Ann, we have a proclamation and a little something for her too. And we have appreciated her being on this board for the past 4 years.
Thank you.
So, we did a proclamation that also recognizes your work on the Conservation Advisory Committee and with the food scraps and, your leadership in that area. And there's room for, if you want other people to sign on it as well.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much for your service. If there's anyone who has formal proclamations to offer, I'd suggest that we do those and then adjourn for more informal. And I believe there's at least 2 proclamations, right?
I think there's 3.
3, okay. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. My name's Todd Tancredi, and I'm here. I've got some personal comments, but I do have some proclamations for Mike. One is from the Dutchess County Legislature, Will Truitt. And I won't read these entire proclamations, but I'll read the pertinent point. And it says, resolved that Chairman Truitt, on behalf of all the people of Dutchess County, hereby commends and congratulates Michael Safone on over 2 decades of service to the residents of the town of Poughkeepsie, and be it further resolved that Chairman Truitt does hereby extend to Councilman Michael Safone best wishes in all his future endeavors. So that's from the legislature and Chairman Truitt. And then I also have a proclamation from the county executive for Mike. And again, I won't go through all the technicalities, but I will read now. Therefore, I, Susan J. Serino, County Executive of Dutchess County, do hereby recognize and commend Mike Safone for his many years of dedicated service and extend heartfelt wishes as he embarks on the next exciting chapter of his life. Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you.
So, Mike, good evening. My name is Lydia Biskup. I'm the Chief of Staff for Senator Rollison. And Mike, for decades of service, you look really good. and also, thank you very much. The senator was at another event. I was at the legislature tonight. So I can't thank you enough. You know, for the years I worked for then Senator Serino and then also now with Senator Rollison, every time we would pick up the phone when we received a call from a constituent from the town of Poughkeepsie, you and Ann and Felicia and everybody here, you get back to us in 10 minutes. And that really is public service. And in the proclamation, there are many whereases and be it resolves, but there's one here I'd like to read. It is the sense of this legislative body, the state, to recognize and pay tribute to individuals whose life are about public service, leadership, dedication, and have strengthened communities, promoted public safety, and improved the quality of life for those that they serve. Thank you very much, Mike and Ann. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll do some pictures in just a minute.
Thank you, Lydia.
Good evening. Mr. Safone. In case anybody's not aware, Mike got me involved with the zoning board. Many years ago, he kind of pulled me in. He said, if you're going to complain, get on the board so you can do something about it. So I want to really thank him for that one. But as a member of the Fairview Fire District, we have a thank you for Mike. And I won't go into all the details because, as previously noted, there are a lot of repetitive things. But the Fairview Fire District and the Board of Fire Commissioners and the administrative staff, we just want to thank Mike for all the work he's done for us. He's always been there for us. He's been there around the clock. Whenever I need him, he comes and helps. And we're very appreciative of his ongoing support. Again, Mike, I think, has done a lot for the whole community, but he has really done many things for the Fairview Fire District. So as the chairman of the commissioners, I would like to thank you. And I really do want to get you on our board. I think you'd be a real asset. But you've done an outstanding job for us, and we really thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And we have a little something for you to wear later.
No,
I'd like to see that.
It's not Leo's ours.
Does it have anything to do with the Mets by any chance?
This is from the fire.
building's kind of small, Mike, you'd like to see it.
It's not a red stash, we're good. As long as it's not a
Very
red
nice.
stash, we're good.
Very nice.
Could have got you a bikini.
Thank you very much.
Fairview Fire Department.
If I could just take a minute and just say, when I first ran for office, the first person I met was Cliff Kilmeyer. I walked down the street, knocked on his door, and I said, I want to run for councilman. He looked at me, came out of his house, and put his arm around my shoulder and laughed. He goes, well, what can you do? And I said, I don't know, but I'm going to try my best, and that's what I'll give you 100%. And what he had in front of him was a sidewalk that was lifted up by tree roots. So when I actually got elected, I went to Joe Davis, the supervisor. I said, Joe, how do I become successful at making people happy in my ward and represent them well? He found a little seed money in a project that came back, and it was $3,000 from a project that came in under bid. He gave me that money that turned into an $11,000 grant from Joel Miller's office to do sidewalks at Fairview Park by the Little League ball field. That turned into a hundreds of thousands of dollar grant from Assemblyman Miller's office that got Fairview sidewalks, and that's how I really started. And they did start in front of my house, which didn't really look very good for optics, but that's how it started. And it's all about the team that I'm with. It was never about me. I've worked with some great boards, people that really have heart and care. My constituents, whether you voted for me or not, I returned the call back and did the best I could. But I couldn't do anything without the team, the town of Poughkeepsie, all the employees, from the police officer, every department head. When I called and I needed something, you guys were all there. So it's not about me. Give yourselves a hand, guys, because it's about you and the residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are a lot of department heads here to celebrate with you, as well as colleagues and friends. So I move that we adjourn at 8:17, I think, PM. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 7-0. I wish everyone a very safe and joyful and happy and peaceful and restful holiday season. I thank Ann and Mike so much for their service and hope everyone will stay and celebrate. And thank you, Karen, for such a very special celebration for everyone tonight. Thank you again.
Thank you.